it's Liz Yuille from Old Stables Crafts. Thank you for joining me for another Top Tip Tuesday. If you remembered last week, we made this box, which is a top opening box that has a flap that goes in. So it opens up and you can keep opening and closing it. I'm not going to untie the bow because that's actually a bow and a knot, which was a great idea apart from the fact it's now kind of there. And I want that nail varnish back, so not the best idea. I will deconstruct it at some point, just probably not now. Anyway, I've still got the measurements from last week and I have a different lipstick. I have a different nail varnish. And I've chosen Poppy Parade card because it kind of goes better. Flirty Flamingo would have been fairly in your face, I think. So all I'm going to do is make the box. I'm not going to decorate it this week. This is just so that we can, instead of having an opening here, we're going to have our box this way with our opening here. So it's the same size nail varnish, it's a standard size. So we know that we've got 2 3/4 by 1.5 inches by 1 inch. So let me grab a new piece of paper. This was last week's measurements. We ended up with a 5.5 by 5 1/4 piece. And that was 1 inch, 2 3/4 inches, 1 inch, and then 1/2 inch for a flap. Made our this way, made our 5 1/4, because it was, yes, 2 3/4 plus 2 separate inches was 4 3/4 plus a 1/2 inch, 5 1/4, and then we had 5.5 inches to go all the way round, which was 1.5 inches twice, 1 inch twice, and then 1/2 inch for our seam. Now we're going to use that same measurement because instead of a seam, which is here, this seam is now going to become our tuck-in flap. But we are going to need an extra flap for this width. I will explain in better English. So I'm happy that we've got 1.5 inches, 1 inch, 1.5 inches, 1 inch, and a 1/2 inch flap. So 5.5 I'm still happy with. But to do this side I need 2 inches, so 1 inch plus 1 inch, 2 3/4 inches to go here, plus 2 3/4, and then I need 1/2 inch on each side to be the 2 little bits that go in to hold the lid in place, so plus 1/2 inch and 1/2 inch, so plus 1 inch. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 3/4. 5 3/4 inches. So our piece of card is going to be 5.5 by 5 3/4. Works exactly the same in centimetres. Instead of 1/2 inch for your extra seam or your flap, use a centimetre, maybe 1.5 centimetres, but it's exactly the same basic maths. You're just working with higher numbers because they're smaller. So I've got this, I think, not half sheet. So this measures over 6 inches. So I'm going to take my short piece out of here so that I get a longer piece here. This is just how I try and save cards. So that's my 5 1/4, and then I need 5.5. Oh no, let's look at the right one. So that was wrong. That is completely wrong. Let me find another piece of Poppy Parade. I was looking at last week's measurements. I'll get rid of last week's measurements. Let me just find another piece of Poppy Parade. That is how not to do it. Look at the right measurements. So, Poppy Parade. It's fine. And this is how I store all my card. So I keep it in these plastic folders with the scraps. So if I ever need Poppy Parade, I've got some more scraps, all my scraps in the same place. So if I need a piece that's not a full sheet, I can just pull the most sensible size. So looking at this week's measurements, I want 5.5 by 5 3/4. So 5.5. See, I told you I never edit. 5.5 by 5 3/4. And grab our scoring board. I think it's just easier to explain on the scoring board. So I'm going to start with our 5 3/4 and grab my now buried, take your pick tool. So this is going to be that way. So I need a 1/2 inch flap. I need 1 inch for the depth. Then I need my 2 3/4 inches. So 1, 2 and a half, 2 3/4, so 4 1/4. Then I need 1 inch. So 4 1/4, 5 1/4, and then I've got my 1/2 inch flap. Right, so this is going to be this way. So I want my 1/2 inch flap, which is going to tuck in. Then I'm doing this lid, so I need the 1 1/2 inches. Well, there's 1/2 inch and 1, so at 2. Then I've got a side, which is an inch, so 3. Then I've got the width again, so 1 1/2, so that's 4 1/2, and then I've got this inch for the other piece. So that's all our scoring. Then burnish like mad. So burnish everything. I find it easier to fold the larger piece over the smaller piece, particularly when you're looking at really small pieces like 1/2 inch or 1 centimetre. It's just how I go. So this is going to be our lid. So we're not going to need any of this. So all of this can go because the lid is going to be completely independent. So let's start by getting rid of that, and I'm going to turn it over because I find it easy to work from the back, and I'm going to leave everything other than the score line. So I'm going to cut so that I'm getting rid of the score line in effect, because the score line's kind of ugly. And if you don't need it, it's worth getting rid of it. And then I want to get rid of that as well. So again, I'm going to cut away the score line, and on this side cut away the score line. So that then comes down to tuck in there. So these are going to be sides. I don't need these. I do need these. So I'm going to get rid of that and that and that and that, and everything else I'm keeping. So these I can wedge, so I can end up with this being wedged in and this being wedged in a bit. So effectively, again, I'm cutting away the score lines, but I'm just doing it at a slightly more obvious angle, like that. So again, and wedge. And again. And the last one. Now, generally I wouldn't necessarily do it all in this order, but I'm trying to explain to you where I'm getting my decisions from. So we've now got, these are going to be the flaps that are going to help this stay in place. Yeah, but these bits are now in the way. We want to get rid of those. We want them hidden. So we can either leave them attached to the front and the back, or leave them attached to the sides. Now I think leaving them attached to the front and the back is a neater finish. So I'm going to come in and cut that straight, and it therefore means that actually that didn't need to be wedged, but that's fine. So again, cut this straight. So I'm cutting away the score line, and then I'm going to wedge out, get rid of the score line, and then cut those away, because it just ends up with a neater finish if those are a little bit smaller. That would have been, okay. And then do the same this side. So I'm going to wedge, cut away the score line, cut away the score line and wedge and wedge. I hope that made some sense. So that then comes up to be the sides. This will fold over, this will fold up, and it will all be lovely and neat. So we need adhesive. Well, first thing we need to do is just to wedge this away, because actually I'm going to leave it and I'll show you why we need to wedge it away by not wedging it away. So you can either use tear and tape or liquid adhesive. I normally on a video use tear and tape, but just to show you can use liquid adhesive, I'm going to use liquid adhesive. Now, I am going to accept that these are going to overlap. It does mean you're going to end up with quite a lot of bulk in there, but I'm not too worried, but you could trim them back. But all I'm going to do is just add some Tombow so that it's coming up to that seam there, that fold. That's the kind of important bit. And then just add a bit there. Do the same over here so that you know you're coming up to your fold, and then add a bit to it here. So we're going to bring one up, line it up so that the cut line is against the fold. Just hold that for a moment. Do the same on this one. And just hold that for a moment so that it's kind of, you know, beginning to bite. And then again, we want adhesive on these two. So right up to the fold. And all I would say is if you stuck the back in first on the first side, stick it in first on the second side. It's just a neater look that way. So I've got this one. This is going to be the top, if you like. So I'm going to fold that back and just hold that out of the way. Tuck that in and hold. Tuck that one in and hold. And just hold those together whilst they stick. Put my lid back on. The Tombow is a reasonably quick drying glue. If you've got clips, you might want to, or pegs, you might want to clip those, but they're, for the video, they're good enough to go. My little side flaps, and then this is why, let's see, this is why I say that, actually it worked, that's inevitable, isn't it? It's just you end up, generally speaking, with a neater finish if the edges, actually that's not fully in, let me just squeeze that in a bit, there we go. If these are just trimmed very slightly, if there's not a problem, then that's fine, but if you do find that they catch, just trim away a little bit and it will then just tuck in a bit easier. And there you are, there's your little box. And just to prove that it is the right size, ta-da! And then obviously you can decorate it up and make it all look beautiful. So that's exactly the same size box, it's just this one opens at the top and this one opens that way. So that's that way and that's that way. So I hope that is useful. All I would say is start with what you want the measurements of your box to be. So you want it like this, and then I literally just walk my brain through it. I need a side, I need a middle, I need a side, I need a middle, and a seam. And then I need a top, a middle, a bottom, and a seam. So just mentally walk your way through it. Walk your way through it for your score lines as well, and hopefully that will help get you into being a little more confident in how to make a box that actually fits what you want to wrap, as opposed to me saying, hey, let's make a box that's 2 3/4 by 1.5 by 1 inch. That's great, so long as you've got something that's that size. But hopefully that will help you actually construct your own boxes. I hope you enjoyed that, found it useful, found it interesting. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. If you've got any questions at all about making boxes, then please, please, please do ask. I think I'll come back again next week and do an unusual shape, probably, you know, something circular, just so that you can see that it's exactly the same maths. You're just working with something that is a slightly more bizarre measurement or thing to measure. Thank you very much indeed for watching. Do remember the associated blog post with more information is in a link below here, and it's just called Associated Blog Post. It's a funny link. It's a short code so that it's only that long rather than that long, but it starts, I think it's WP something. It is the link. So follow that, you'll find some more information. When you shop with me, please use the host code. I only sell to the UK, but I do have team in Europe as well as in the UK. So France, Germany, Austria or the Netherlands, if you would like to join my team. Obviously, if you're in the UK, if you would like to join my team, this is an amazing time to join because it's celebration. So you get extra things in your starter kit. It's your starter kit. It's curated by you, for you, to be perfect for you. So great time to join. Any questions about joining, please do contact me and I'll be very happy to answer any questions you may have. Thank you very much indeed for watching, and I look forward to seeing you again soon. Bye!